and Russia's Victory Day parade in Moscow on the 9th of May will be scaled back this year because of a terrorist threat from Ukraine, the Kremlin has said. All measures are being taken to minimize the danger, said President Vladimir Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov.
The US Supreme Court limited the ability of lawmakers to take the racial makeup of a state into account when drawing voting maps, in a ruling that could reshape politics across the American South. In a 6-3 decision, the conservative justices sided with a challenge to new districts in Louisiana that were created to comply with a landmark civil rights law meant to protect Black Americans from racial discrimination.
And the jokes landed, the warm words resonated, the pageantry looked good on the evening news. But as the applause fades and the plates are cleared from the White House banquet, what from the King's historic visit to the United States will sustain? How much of the pomp will translate into politics?
Britain's Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a photograph of themselves with their 3 children to celebrate their 15th wedding anniversary. William and Catherine can be seen lying on some grass alongside Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis in what appears to be a summery scene, with the whole family wearing shorts.
And an inside look at Chernobyl 40 years after the disaster. The exclusion zone remains radioactive, now shaped by war. From deserted cities to returning wildlife and rising military risk, what's unfolding there today raises urgent questions about nuclear danger and what the future might hold. In this episode,
British police have arrested a man after 2 Jewish people were stabbed in northern London, according to Jewish groups, after a series of arson attacks targeting Jewish sites in the area. The 45-year-old man was arrested after he was seen running with a knife, attempting to stab Jewish members of the public. The Shomrim Jewish Neighbourhood Watch said on Wednesday on social media. Note, Al Jazeera is withholding some details of interviewees, such as surnames, to protect their identities. Douankara, Mauritania. One evening in late March, 75-year-old Mokhtar gathered with his family and friends in Sondage, a village in northern Mali, to plan their escape. For months, homes had been raided by rival gun-toting warring groups who accused various villagers of collaborating with their enemies. 2 of Mokhtar's cousins were killed in one such attack. Then one group issued an ultimatum.
Logitech's gaming division, Logitech G, has announced the Logitech G512X TMR analog mechanical gaming keyboard, a new keyboard focused on modular design and deep customization for players. Similar to controllers, this keyboard is able to respond to how hard you press each key, enabling a whole new dimension of input for keyboards. This should not only help with racing games, but also with tactical shooters.
Pakistan and Tajikistan have agreed to advance bilateral trade and explore new transit corridor mechanisms as both countries move to strengthen regional connectivity and economic cooperation. The development came during a meeting between Commerce Minister Jam Kamal Khan and Tajikistan's Ambassador Sharifzoda Yusuf Toya in Islamabad, where both sides discussed expanding trade, improving transit routes and enhancing institutional collaboration.
Islamabad. The Ministry of Law and Justice Trans on Wednesday notified the transfer of 3 judges of the Islamabad High Court, IHC, to other high courts under Article 200 of the Constitution. The development comes a day after the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, JCP, approved the transfer of 3 judges from the IHC to other courts in a move that sharp criticism from lawyers' bodies for lacking transparency and uniform criteria.
And Britain's royal family marked what would have been the late Queen Elizabeth II's 100th birthday by unveiling comprehensive plans for a new charity and memorial in central London. Senior members of the family also attended several events on Tuesday to honour Britain's longest-serving monarch, who died nearly 4 years ago at the age of 96.
Boxers from Russia and Belarus will be free to compete with immediate effect in international competitions as neutral athletes, World Boxing says. The procedure was approved by the Executive Board of World Boxing at its most recent meeting in April 2026 and reflects the approach taken by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, said World Boxing in a statement on Tuesday.
In a Pacific conflict, the nearest US drone factory is thousands of miles away. Ships and planes carrying parts to the front lines would be vulnerable to attack. Defense startup Firestorm Labs thinks the answer is a drone factory that fits inside a shipping container. The company announced on Wednesday that it has raised $82 million in Series B funding led by Washington Harbor Partners with participation from NEA, Ondas, InQtel, Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Ventures, Geodesic, Motley Fool Ventures and others, bringing its total funding to $153 million.
And Sri Lanka said on Tuesday that a payment of about $625,000, about 199.7 million Shin rupees, to the US Postal Service has been missing for several weeks after US officials reported that the payment had failed to arrive, reports local media. Authorities detected the incident after hackers allegedly tried to divert another payment intended for India.
A model is only as good as its data, and for Roman Teslyuk, the data wasn't coming fast enough. I hate delays. Teslyuk, founder and CEO of Earth AI, told TechCrunch. Epic Games has scored another procedural win in its fight with Apple over App Store fees, as the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit has now granted the Fortnite maker's latest motion. The decision means Apple must continue to allow developers to use external payments in apps without charging fees. An earlier order had let Apple temporarily pause the required App Store changes while it sought Supreme Court review. Epic Games derided Apple's move as another delay tactic and asked the court to reconsider the decision.
And Interpol has issued red notices against Malik Riaz and his son Ali Riaz as Pakistan intensifies efforts to bring the property tycoon back to face ongoing legal proceedings. The development was shared by National Accountability Bureau Chairman Nazir Ahmed during a briefing where he said a team is being dispatched to pursue the extradition of both individuals. However, the issuance of the red notices could not be independently verified through Interpol.
The Competition Commission of Pakistan, CCP, has approved the acquisition of Pakistan International Airlines Corporation Limited, PIA, by M Session PIA Equity Limited, after completing a detailed Phase I competition review under Section 11 of the Competition Act 2010. The transaction is part of the Government of Pakistan's privatization program. M Session PIA Equity Limited is a special purpose vehicle, SPV, incorporated on January 9, 2026 by a consortium.
Hyderabad Kingsman star batter Usman Khan has opened up about the challenges he faced after being dropped from the national team, reflecting on criticism, self-doubt and the work he put in to make a return. Speaking during a recent interview on a local YouTube platform, the wicketkeeper batter discussed a difficult phase in his career when his place in the side was questioned and doubts were raised about his future.
Samsung has launched the Samsung Galaxy A37 and Samsung Galaxy A57 in Pakistan on April 28. The two mid-range phones bring upgrades in design, performance, cameras, and software support while continuing Samsung's popular Galaxy A series lineup. Both phones feature a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate for smoother scrolling and gaming.
OpenSignal has released its first ever fixed broadband analysis for Pakistan, ranking internet providers based on their performance across several metrics. Nayatel emerged as the top performing provider in the report, winning multiple categories and securing the overall Best Home Internet award.
Islamabad. The Supreme Court on Wednesday affirmed that the discharge of electoral duties demanded scrupulous adherence to the law, transparency in action, and an unwavering commitment to impartiality. Any deviation from neutrality or departure from the statutory framework during the election process imperils not merely the outcome of a particular election, but the democratic Shakil itself, emphasized Justice Shakil Ahmed.
Islamabad. The federal government on Wednesday called for national consensus to shift gears from water crisis management at present to ensuring water security in view of emerging challenges, particularly the weaponization of water by India. The proposed national consensus should cover building strategic water storage, including large reservoirs, medium dams, small dams, recharge dams, delay action dams, hill torrent management, floodwater storage and urban rainwater harvesting. Planning Minister Ahsan Iqbal said at a round-table session of the newly formed Water Security Task Force in the Planning Commission.
And the Sri Lankan government took control of the island's cricket board on Wednesday and appointed a 9-member interim administration to carry out structural reforms. Sri Lanka Cricket, SLC, is the country's wealthiest sporting body, but it has been plagued by allegations of corruption and mismanagement.
United States President Donald Trump has warned Iran must get smart soon, following a proposal from Iran that would postpone a deal on Iran's nuclear program. Iran can't get their act together. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform on Wednesday, "They don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. They better get smart soon."
And in the skies over the Lebanese town of Taybeh, Israel's multi-billion-dollar defense systems were rendered useless by a spool of cable, according to a report by the Israeli daily Yedioth Aharonoth, Ynet. And as an Israeli medical evacuation helicopter rushed to rescue soldiers wounded in a drone attack, another unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, hurtled towards them. With their electronic countermeasures failing, and soldiers on the ground were forced to point their rifles at the sky, firing at the incoming threat before it detonated just meters away.
A fishing boat glides across the waters of Iraq's southern marshes, sending ripples shimmering over the once-parched wetlands, now revived by long-awaited rains. Running through almost the entire Huwaizar marshes, the returning water is dotted with patches of greenery, with buffaloes soaking in it or wandering slowly nearby, grazing on the lush grass.
Sri Lanka's government has taken control of the country's cricket board, saying it is a temporary measure designed to pave the way for structural reforms. All administrative functions of Sri Lanka Cricket, SLC, will be temporarily brought under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, effective today, the ministry said on Wednesday. Google Translate is now 20 years old, and to celebrate, the company has added a new feature that lets users practice their pronunciation and enunciation of words and phrases in different languages. When you translate a word, sentence or phrase, you can navigate into the Practice menu to find a Pronounce button, which shows you phonetics that you can say out loud to practice speaking the translated text. Shapes, an app where humans and AI characters chat together in shared group conversations, is emerging from stealth with $8 million in seed funding. Think Discord, but with AI characters alongside humans. Founded in 2022, Shapes has more than 400,000 monthly active users. The app's founders, Anushk Mittal and Nori Dhingra, believe that Shapes can address issues around AI psychosis, which refers to cases where prolonged interactions with AI chatbots or AI companions can cause individuals to develop delusions or paranoia.